Entire cities have disappeared from the earth, their memories buried for 1,000 years. We are now finding them again, not by digging, but by looking down from the sky. Modern remote sensing technology is a revolutionary set of eyes that is uncovering ancient metropolises hidden in plain sight. By the end of this journey, you will see 20 of these lost urban giants revealed, fundamentally changing how you understand human history. How did a civilization of millions vanish into the Guatemalan jungle? What legendary trading hub was found beneath the sands of an endless desert? We will explore how lasers and radar peel back layers of time to expose sprawling streets, towering temples, and ingenious networks that challenge every old assumption. What does the fate of these great cities tell us about our own world today? The old way of discovery was a monumental act of faith. For centuries, an archaeologist would stand on a promising hill or at the edge of a dense jungle, armed with little more than historical texts, local stories, and a shovel. Their work was slow, physically demanding, and incredibly limited by what a human team could physically uncover in a single trench. They were reading history one painstaking page at a time, often missing the entire book that lay buried around them. Today, that solitary figure is replaced by a researcher in a lab, commanding a silent fleet of satellites and aircraft that can scan entire continents. This is the revolution of remote sensing, the art of gathering information about our planet from a distance. Think of it not as a single tool, but as a new sense we have developed for the Earth itself, a way to see wavelengths of light and energy that are invisible to our own eyes. The two most powerful of these new senses are LiDAR and synthetic aperture radar. LiDAR works by firing millions of laser pulses from an aircraft down through a forest canopy. These pulses bounce back, and by measuring their return time, a computer can build an astonishingly precise three-dimensional map of the ground surface, digitally stripping away every single tree and bush to reveal the human-made landscape hidden below. It is like suddenly draining a murky, overgrown pond to see the intricate city lying perfectly preserved on the bottom. Synthetic aperture radar, or SAR, uses a different approach. It sends out microwave signals from a satellite that can penetrate dry soil and sand, sensing the subtle differences in density and moisture that often betray the presence of ancient walls, roads, or foundations. Where LiDAR reveals the shape of the land, SAR can see what is hidden within it. As space archaeologist Dr. Sarah Parcak has noted, this shift means we have barely scratched the surface of what is out there, with thousands of settlements waiting to be found. This technological leap has transformed archaeology from a slow, localized science into a global treasure hunt, revealing patterns and connections utterly invisible from the ground. And it is with these new eyes that we can now turn to the first of our rediscovered giants, a metropolis that redefined what was possible in the ancient Americas. Deep in the emerald heart of the Guatemalan rainforest, a civilization of staggering scale slept beneath a living blanket of green. The story here is not of a single lost city, but of an entire forgotten world. For generations, archaeologists trekked through the Patane jungle, studying magnificent ruins like Tikal, believing them to be powerful but isolated city-states separated by vast tracts of uninhabited wilderness. The truth, revealed only when lasers pierced the canopy, was something else entirely. The PACUNAM LiDAR Initiative did not just find a few new temples. It digitally erased the jungle itself to expose a megalopolis. Suddenly, the empty spaces on the map between known sites filled with a breathtaking urban tapestry. The survey revealed over 60,000 previously unknown structures. This was not just a collection of ceremonial centers, but a continuous landscape of houses, neighborhood plazas, administrative compounds, and fortified walls. Raised stone causeways, like ancient highways, connected everything in a sophisticated network. The implication was profound. This was a society that supported a population in the millions at its peak, a density that rivals many modern metropolitan areas. This forces a complete rewrite of Maya history. We are no longer looking at isolated kingdoms, but a highly integrated, urbanized civilization with a level of organization and infrastructure we never attributed to them. They were master landscape engineers, sculpting the very earth to support their numbers. They constructed intricate wetland farming systems, transforming swamps into fertile fields to feed their immense population. The scale of their environmental modification is a testament to human ingenuity, but it also casts their eventual decline in a new, more dramatic light. The collapse of such a vast, interconnected network would have been a cataclysm of unimaginable scale, a slow unraveling that reshaped a continent. This discovery makes you wonder how many other jungles, seemingly pristine and empty, are secretly holding the ghostly outlines of another world. From a vanished jungle metropolis, we travel to a city buried not by trees, but by the very river that gave it life. The story of Tanis is a lesson in how geography can both create and conceal a capital. In the fertile, marshy expanse of the Nile Delta, this was the great northern capital of ancient Egypt during a time of profound change, often called the Thebes of the North. For centuries, Tanis was known more from legend than from the ground, famously referenced in biblical texts as the site of great treasure. Early excavations in the 1900s did uncover spectacular royal tombs, but these finds created a puzzle. They revealed a city of immense wealth, yet the sprawling urban landscape that must have supported such power remained frustratingly hidden, swallowed by centuries of silt deposited by the Nile's ever-shifting branches. The city seemed to retreat deeper into the mud with every passing season. Modern technology, however, has given us a way to see through that mud. Teams have now swept across the site with non-invasive tools like magnetometry, which measures tiny disturbances in the Earth's magnetic field caused by buried stone and brick. Another technique, electrical resistivity tomography, sends currents into the ground to map differences in soil, moisture, and composition. Together, they act like a medical scan for the landscape, revealing the ghostly anatomy of the city without a single shovel breaking the surface. The resulting maps are astonishing. They show the full, grand scale of Tanis for the first time, a meticulously planned capital. The surveys outline vast temple complexes that rivaled the great sanctuary of Karnak to the south, sprawling palace districts, orderly residential neighborhoods, and a sophisticated network of canals that fed the city and connected it to the wider Nile. This was not a haphazard settlement. It was a deliberate, powerful statement of authority built during a period when Egypt's central power was fragmenting. The remote sensing data has transformed our understanding, turning Tanis from a collection of famous tombs into a living, breathing administrative and religious hub. It allows archaeologists to ask smarter questions and dig with precision, leading to discoveries that flesh out a poorly understood chapter of Egyptian history. Tanis teaches us that some of the greatest cities are not lost to catastrophe, but to the slow, patient work of the earth itself, and that sometimes to find a capital, you must first learn to see the ground not as an obstacle, but as a manuscript written in stone and clay. Legends are not always born from nothing, they are echoes of a truth buried by time. In the vast, shifting sands of the Arabian desert's empty quarter, one such echo persisted for millennia. The fabled city of Ubar, celebrated in ancient texts and Bedouin oral tradition as a magnificent oasis of towering wealth built on the frankincense trade, was said to have been punished for its arrogance, vanishing into the dunes in a single, catastrophic event. For centuries, scholars dismissed it as a poetic allegory, a desert mirage of the imagination, the Atlantis of the sands. Its discovery would require a leap of faith, not in old maps, but in new technology. The search began not with camels, but with a space shuttle. In the 1980s, scientists analyzing radar images taken from orbit noticed something extraordinary. Beneath the featureless sand, the radar signals revealed a faint, spiderweb-like pattern of ancient caravan tracks, all converging on a single, unremarkable point in modern-day Oman. These were the ghost roads of the incense trade, invisible to the human eye but perfectly preserved in the dry desert substrate. Ground teams, guided by these celestial maps, journeyed to the site. What they found was a revelation that bridged myth and reality. There stood the remains of a fortified settlement with massive walls and defensive towers, a powerful hub built directly over a large limestone cavern. Evidence suggests the city's dramatic end likely came from the collapse of this cavern, perhaps exacerbated by the weight of its own structures or shifting water tables, literally causing the ground to swallow parts of the settlement. This geological event perfectly explains the enduring legend of a city punished and sinking beneath the sands. Remote sensing did more than just find Ubar, it illuminated its purpose. By mapping the vast network of trails that fed into it, the technology showed how this city was a critical choke point, a galactic hub in an interstellar network of desert trade. It controlled the flow of frankincense, a substance as valuable as gold in the ancient world, from its source in southern Arabia to the markets of Rome, Persia, and beyond. The discovery of Ubar is a profound testament to the hidden truth within oral traditions. It proves that stories passed down for thousands of years often contain a core of historical fact, waiting for the right key to unlock them. This find reminds us that the greatest cities were often not just places, but vital connections, powerful nodes in a global web of exchange. It is a theme of interconnection that we will see echoed in a very different landscape, far from the desert sands, on the rich plains of the American Midwest. Across the Atlantic, another metropolis thrived not in stone but in earth. The great city of Cahokia, with its towering monk's mound, has long stood as a silent sentinel on the Mississippi River's floodplain, a testament to the sophisticated mound-building cultures of North America. For generations, we saw it as a powerful but largely isolated capital, its influence radiating outwards but its physical footprint confined to a known ceremonial core. We were missing the true scale of its world. Recent LiDAR surveys have now digitally peeled back the modern farmland and forests of the American bottom in Illinois, revealing a metropolitan landscape that rivals the complexity of any ancient urban center. The data is breathtaking, showing not just a few more mounds but hundreds of them, dotting the landscape in patterns that speak of careful planning. These are not random hills, they are the foundations of temples, elite residences, and communal gathering places. The scans reveal vast residential districts, grids of agricultural fields that fed the populace, and most strikingly, long, straight causeways that connected these outlying neighborhoods and satellite communities directly to the city's heart. Cahokia was not a lone giant, it was the bustling nucleus of a sprawling region, a densely populated network of towns and farms all integrated into a single social and economic system. This holistic view, made possible by seeing the entire landscape at once, answers old questions and poses profound new ones. Researchers can now identify subtle features like borrow pits, the exact locations where soil was excavated to build the great mounds. These pits were not just construction sites, they were later ingeniously repurposed as managed water reservoirs, part of a sophisticated system for controlling water in the floodplain. This reveals a society of masterful landscape engineers, but it also hints at the delicate balance they maintained. The The scale of their environmental modification suggests that managing resources for such a large, concentrated population may have presented immense challenges over time, offering clues to the city's later transformation. This discovery fundamentally reshapes our understanding of pre-contact North America. It moves the narrative from isolated tribal centers to one of genuine urbanism, with planning, infrastructure, and regional integration on a scale we are only beginning to appreciate. It proves that great civilizations could rise from the earth itself, sculpting their cities from soil. And if such complexity could flourish on a river floodplain, what might be hidden in landscapes we once thought were too harsh for urban life? This leads our search to a very different environment, high in the remote mountains of a continent known for its ancient mysteries. The story of Angkor Wat begins not on the plains but high in the sacred mountains. Before the iconic towers rose from the Cambodian lowlands, the Khmer Empire was born in the forested highlands of Phnom Kulen, a plateau long revered as a spiritual heartland. For years, this area was known for scattered ruins and ancient carvings in riverbeds, but its true significance was shrouded in jungle. The name Mahendraparvata lingered in inscriptions as a mythical first capital, yet its physical reality remained a tantalizing mystery. Then came the lasers. A pioneering LiDAR survey swept across the plateau, and in a digital instant, centuries of overgrowth vanished. What emerged was not a simple village or ceremonial site, but a fully planned city, a sophisticated urban blueprint etched directly into the mountain terrain. The scans revealed a stunningly orderly grid of city blocks defining neighborhoods and administrative zones. They mapped out a network of stone temples, some still standing, others reduced to their foundations. Most importantly, they exposed an intricate web of canals, reservoirs, and roads, a massive hydrological system carved into the bedrock. This was the revelation. Mahendraparvata was not just a symbolic birthplace. It was a functioning, ambitious capital from the early 9th century, demonstrating that the Khmer genius for engineering and urban design was present from the empire's very first breath. The city's layout appears deeply intentional, aligning major axes with sacred peaks and water sources, integrating the urban plan with the spiritual geography of the mountain. This discovery filled a critical gap in history. It showed that the Khmer did not simply arrive on the plains and build Angkor. They first experimented with creating a divine city on a mountain, mastering the challenge of managing water on steep slopes, learning how to structure a society around a central god-king. Mahendraparvata represents the prototype, the bold first draft of a civilization that would later build the largest pre-industrial city in the world. When the capital eventually moved to the Angkor Plain, it took these hard-won lessons in water management and symbolic planning to an even grander scale. This find exemplifies a powerful truth. Remote sensing does not merely locate lost places, it recovers lost chapters in the story of human ingenuity. It shows us the trial runs, the ambitious experiments that paved the way for legendary wonders. And if such a detailed urban plan could remain hidden in a known sacred landscape, what other prototypes of great civilizations are waiting, perhaps in the most unexpected and challenging environments of all? The greatest wilderness on our planet was never truly wild. For centuries, the dense, green expanse of the Amazon was portrayed as a pristine paradise, a vast, untouched ecosystem where only small, nomadic tribes could survive. This romantic vision was a profound misunderstanding, one that modern technology has completely rewritten. From the sky, a different story emerges. Across the Brazilian and Bolivian basins, satellite imagery and LiDAR have uncovered a hidden civilization of staggering scale and sophistication. The landscape is etched with geometric earthworks, perfect circles and squares carved into the earth, connected by long, straight causeways that stretch for dozens of miles. These are not natural features, they are the footprints of a lost urban world. In regions like the Llanos de Mojos of Bolivia, what appears as seasonal wetland from the ground is revealed from above as a meticulously planned network of raised fields, canals, and reservoirs. These ancient people were master hydraulic engineers, transforming floodplains into productive farmland and intricate fish farms. They did not just live in the forest, they sculpted it. Their most lasting innovation was the creation of terra preta, or dark earth, a rich, fertile soil they manufactured by slowly enriching the naturally poor rainforest earth with charcoal, pottery shards, and organic waste. This was a technology of permanence, allowing them to build stable, sedentary communities in a landscape we once thought could never support them. Their settlements were often arranged in concentric circular patterns or aligned with celestial events, suggesting a deep connection between their urban planning, social structure, and understanding of the cosmos. Researchers now describe these places not as simple villages, but as garden cities, a seamless blend of urban living and cultivated agroforestry. The scale is what truly redefines history. The evidence points to populations numbering in the millions, living in a connected tapestry of managed landscapes across thousands of square miles. This discovery forces a complete reimagining of the Amazon. It was not an empty wilderness but a thriving, human-made garden, a testament to a form of urbanism that worked with the ecology rather than replacing it. Their civilization represents a different path, a model of sustainability on a continental scale that challenges every modern assumption about what a city must look like. It proves that human ingenuity can flourish in the most challenging environments, a lesson written in the earth that now compels us to look for similar genius in the world's other great expanse of seeming emptiness, the deserts of Africa. The iconic stone walls of Great Zimbabwe have always spoken of power and permanence. Yet for generations, these silent ruins told only part of the story, focusing our gaze on the elite center of a kingdom. Who built this grandeur and where did they live? The answer lay not in more stone, but in the earth surrounding it, a bustling world invisible to the naked eye. Using ground-penetrating radar and magnetometry, researchers have performed a kind of archaeological X-ray across the landscape. These tools sense subtle differences below the surface, revealing the magnetic signature of ancient hearths and the density changes left by collapsed clay walls. What emerged was a revelation, the sprawling footprint of a vast urban hinterland. The data maps out distinct neighborhoods, areas dedicated to iron smelting and craft production, and the patterns of countless dwellings made from traditional clay and thatch. This was not a scattered village, but a densely populated, carefully organized metropolitan region that supported the stone citadel at its heart. We can now see the city's growth phases, expanding outward over time as its influence grew. The evidence of trade goods, from distant glass beads to Chinese ceramics, paints a picture of a society deeply enmeshed in the lucrative Indian Ocean trade networks, exchanging gold and ivory for the luxuries of a connected medieval world. This technological insight is profound for two reasons. First, it allows study without extensive digging, respecting the deep cultural significance of the site. Second, it transforms our understanding completely. Great Zimbabwe was not an isolated ceremonial capital. It was the thriving nucleus of a complex, stratified society. The stone enclosures were the administrative and spiritual core, but the true life of the city pulsed in its extensive clay and thatch suburbs, home to the artisans, traders, and families that powered the kingdom. This gives us a far more complete human picture of Bantu urbanism, a sophisticated African civilization that was a major player on a global stage. It proves that to understand a civilization's heart, you must first learn to see its body, the vast, living organism that sustained its power. This theme of hidden connection, of cities as vital links in a global chain, finds a powerful echo far to the north, in the sun-drenched waters of the Mediterranean. Beneath the rolling green fields of the Italian countryside, an entire city sleeps intact. This is not a ruin you can walk among, but a perfect ghost, a complete urban blueprint preserved just inches below the soil. The Roman town of Falerii Novi, founded over 2,000 years ago north of Rome, never truly vanished. Instead, it was slowly and gently buried by centuries of agricultural soil, a patient blanket that protected its secrets rather than erasing them. For archaeologists, such a site presents a tantalizing dilemma. To dig is to destroy the very layers that tell the story, and excavating an entire city is an impossible task. But now, we no longer need to. Using an advanced form of ground-penetrating radar, researchers have performed what can only be called a virtual excavation, revealing every street, wall, and pipe of Falerii Novi in astonishing detail. The radar system, towed by a small vehicle across the farmland, sent pulses of energy into the ground. As these signals bounced off buried stone and brick, they painted a three-dimensional portrait of the lost town. The resulting map is nothing short of a time capsule. You can trace the entire defensive perimeter with its imposing gates, follow the intricate network of lead water pipes that fed public fountains and baths, and identify the central marketplace, a theater for entertainment, and several temples for worship. The plan shows a sophisticated grid of streets, and within each city block, the radar reveals the footprints of individual homes, shops, and workshops. You can almost see the daily life unfolding, the movement from residences to the market, from the temple to the theater. One of the most compelling discoveries was a large, unusual rectangular monument near the town's northern gate, a structure with no clear parallel in other Roman towns. Its purpose remains a mystery, a puzzle left behind by the ancients for modern minds to solve. This single, non-invasive survey accomplished what decades of traditional digging could not, providing a complete, frozen moment of Roman urbanism. It allows us to study how a medium-sized town functioned as a whole organism, how its infrastructure supported its citizens, and how its layout evolved over centuries of use. Falerii Novi gives us the definitive blueprint of a typical Roman administrative town, a model we can now use to interpret fragmentary ruins elsewhere. It proves that sometimes the most profound discoveries are not made by digging into the past, but by listening to it, by using technology to hear the faint echoes of stone and mortar that still resonate beneath our feet. This complete urban snapshot makes you wonder, how many other Roman towns lie similarly preserved, not under deserts or jungles, but under the quiet, cultivated fields of Europe, waiting for their moment to be seen again? The desert has a way of preserving secrets in plain sight. In the heart of the Karakum Desert in Turkmenistan, the ancient oasis of Merv stands as a monument to human ambition against the sands. Known as the Queen of the World, it was one of the largest and most influential cities of the medieval Islamic era, a dazzling nexus on the Silk Road where goods, ideas, and cultures converged. While its grandest walls and mausoleums have always been visible, rising from the arid plain, we never truly saw the city itself. Its full, sprawling footprint was lost to time, blurred by centuries of wind, water, and the footprints of later settlements. To understand Merv, we had to learn to see its ghost. Researchers have turned the sky into a time machine, using multispectral satellite imagery and high-resolution drone photography. These tools do not just take pictures, they analyze different wavelengths of light reflected from the ground. Parched earth, buried brick, and the subtle traces of old vegetation all reflect light in unique signatures, allowing the technology to distinguish between a modern field and the outline of a 2,000-year-old neighborhood. The resulting maps are a revelation. They peel back the desert veil to show Merv not as a single ruin, but as a layered metropolis that grew and shifted over 2 millennia. The imagery clearly delineates the ancient fortified citadel, the sprawling Seljuk-era city with its bustling markets and mosques, and most remarkably, the vast suburban belts of gardens, workshops, and industrial quarters that stretched far beyond the defensive walls. This was not just a fortified trading post, it was a complete urban ecosystem. The key to its survival is written across the landscape in the form of a complex, branching network of canals. These artificial rivers, captured perfectly by the aerial surveys, were masterpieces of hydraulic engineering, channeling water from the nearby Mergab River to nourish the city's fields, fill its reservoirs, and power its industries. They transformed a desert oasis into a self-sustaining agricultural powerhouse that could feed a population likely in the hundreds of thousands. By analyzing this spatial data, historians can now trace exactly how trade, agriculture, and daily life were woven together in this fragile environment. The caravans arriving from China and Persia did not just pass through, they fed a local economy of artisans, farmers, and scholars. The city's map tells a powerful story of cyclical growth and catastrophic decline, a pattern of resilience and vulnerability dictated by the delicate balance of water and political power. Merv's greatness was ultimately its vulnerability, a lesson etched into the desert floor. This pattern of a thriving city brought low invites a haunting question. What happens when a metropolis faces not a slow decline, but a single, catastrophic moment that freezes it in time? The seafloor holds entire cities in a silent, watery museum. While deserts and jungles conceal their secrets, the Mediterranean sea guards a different kind of treasure, a metropolis that did not crumble but was swallowed whole. Off the coast of modern Alexandria, Egypt, lies the sunken port of Heracleion, known to the Egyptians as Tanis. For over 1,000 years, it was considered a legend, a mythical gateway mentioned in ancient texts where Greek traders first entered the kingdom of the pharaohs. Then, in the late 1990s, a team led by marine archaeologist Frank Gaudio began to sweep the murky seabed with side-scan sonar. This technology works by sending out acoustic pulses that bounce off the seafloor, creating a detailed, shadowy image of any objects resting upon it. The first scans revealed anomalies, shapes that were too straight, too angular to be natural rock. Divers descended, and through the gloom, they saw the face of a colossal statue emerge, a monumental king staring blankly into the abyss. They had found the lost city. The mapping effort expanded, employing sub-bottom profilers, a technology that sends sound waves into the layers of sediment beneath the seafloor. This was like performing an ultrasound on the seabed, revealing structures not just resting on it but buried within it. The resulting digital maps are a breathtaking resurrection. They show the full, grand layout of Heracleion Tanis, a bustling island port crisscrossed by canals. The scans pinpoint the locations of a massive temple dedicated to the god Ammon, the foundations of harbors and warehouses, and even the eerie outlines of over 60 ancient shipwrecks still at their moorings, a frozen moment of maritime traffic. The sea's preservation is astonishing. Giant statues of pharaohs and deities, some over 16 feet tall, stand where they fell. Intricate gold jewelry, ceremonial barges, and inscribed stone slabs called stelae, which recorded the laws and taxes of the port, all lie in a state of suspended animation, untouched by the looting that plagues land sites. This underwater time capsule offers a pristine snapshot of a critical cultural fusion. Every artifact tells a story of exchange, Greek pottery alongside Egyptian amulets, evidence of a city that was the mandatory customs and trading hub between two great civilizations. Its discovery also solved a historical mystery, proving that Heracleion and Tanis were not two separate cities, as some texts suggested, but the Greek and Egyptian names for the same vital place. But how does a thriving port simply sink? The remote sensing data provided that answer too. Core samples and geological analysis revealed that the city was built on a fragile foundation of clay and silt. Over centuries, the weight of its heavy stone buildings, combined with rising sea levels and perhaps a trigger event like an earthquake, caused the ground to undergo liquefaction. In this process, the solid earth literally turned into a liquid slurry, causing entire city blocks to slide into the water in a relatively sudden, catastrophic event. Heracleion Tanis shows us that remote sensing is not limited to the land. It gives us eyes for the deep, allowing us to digitally raise cities from the waves and study their final moments with forensic clarity. This sunken metropolis connects to a universal theme: the vulnerability of coastal cities to the forces of nature, a dialogue between human ambition and the shifting earth that continues to this day. From a city lost to water, we journey to a place where an empire met its symbolic end, not in a dramatic collapse but in a slow fade into the earth. Water was the lifeblood of a city built on salt. In the stark, white expanse of the Rann of Kutch in western India, the ancient metropolis of Dholavira did not merely survive its arid surroundings, it thrived for over 1,500 years. This Harappan city, a jewel of the Indus Valley civilization, has long been known for its geometric precision and orderly streets. But from the ground, the true genius of its design was almost too vast to comprehend. It is only from the sky, through the lens of high-resolution drone photography and intricate three-dimensional modeling, that the city's master plan reveals itself in full. The aerial view is a revelation of hydrological intelligence. Carved directly into the living bedrock of the island are 16 massive, interconnected reservoirs, some stretching over 300 feet long. These were not simple ponds, but a sophisticated, city-wide plumbing system of breathtaking ambition. The drone imagery maps out the entire network with stunning clarity, showing how seasonal rainwater from two nearby streams was meticulously captured and channeled through a series of check dams and stone-cut conduits. This water was then directed into these giant storage tanks, strategically positioned at different levels to use gravity for distribution throughout the urban area. The remote perspective makes the central theme undeniable. The city's architects did not just add water features, they wove water management into the very fabric of their urban design. The fortified citadel and middle town were deliberately arranged around the largest reservoirs, placing this vital resource at the heart of civic and administrative life. Residential neighborhoods were situated to have efficient access, ensuring every citizen benefited from this engineered landscape. This was a society that understood its most critical resource and planned its entire existence around guaranteeing its supply. Dholavira represents one of the earliest and most sophisticated examples of sustainable urbanism on the planet. In a climate of extreme heat and limited rainfall, they achieved resilience through foresight and collective effort, creating a system that could see them through years of drought. Their achievement speaks to a profound lesson. The greatest civilizations are often those that learn to listen to their environment and innovate in harmony with it. Dholavira's silent stone reservoirs hold a message that echoes across millennia, a message about planning, community, and the delicate balance required to build a city meant to last. This conversation with a challenging environment was not unique to the Indus Valley, as our next discovery reveals a metropolis that turned a different kind of harsh landscape into a breathtaking canvas for its power. The tombs of Petra are a facade, a breathtaking mask carved into rose-red cliffs. Behind that iconic stone face lay a question that long puzzled historians. How could a city of such grandeur exist in the heart of a desert? The answer was not hidden in its temples, but in the seemingly barren hills that surrounded them. Modern eyes in the sky have finally seen the truth. Satellite imagery and aerial photography have revealed that the Nabateans were not just master stone carvers, they were unparalleled hydrological architects. The landscape beyond the Sikh, the narrow gorge that serves as the city's entrance, is a sprawling, open-air blueprint of survival. The scans show a meticulously engineered agricultural heartland. Every hillside was sculpted into a cascade of terraced fields, designed to capture every precious drop of rainwater and prevent soil erosion. The imagery maps a vast network of stone channels and ceramic pipelines, some running for miles, that funneled seasonal floodwaters into a system of over 200 cisterns and reservoirs. This was a civilization that treated water with the reverence of gold, capturing, storing, and distributing it with precision. They did not just find oases, they created them, transforming arid wadis into fertile green belts that could support vineyards, olive groves, and grain fields. This remote-sensed evidence completely reframes Petra. It was not merely a passive stop on the incense trade routes, a place where caravans simply passed through. It was an active, productive hub. The Nabateans grew surplus food, which they could trade alongside the luxury goods passing through their gates, adding another layer of wealth and self-sufficiency to their economy. This agricultural base was the foundation of their longevity, allowing them to support a large, permanent population and the thousands of travelers who visited each year. To walk through Petra today is to see a city of the dead, but the view from above restores its life. It reveals a living, breathing metropolis sustained by a silent, flowing genius, a testament to how humans can coax abundance from the most unforgiving earth. This same spirit of ingenious adaptation, of thriving against environmental odds, finds a powerful echo far from the desert sun, in the misty, cold forests of another continent. A Viking town was more than ships and trade. It was a fortress of earth and fire. On the island of Björka in Sweden, the bustling port of Birka has long been celebrated as a cosmopolitan hub where silver from the east met furs from the north. Archaeologists meticulously excavated its harbor, workshops, and burial grounds, piecing together a vibrant picture of commerce. Yet they could only see the town itself, a puzzle with most of its pieces still buried across the wider landscape. The full story of Birka's power lay hidden in the gentle slopes and forests of the entire island, waiting for a view from above. When researchers finally scanned Björka with topographic LiDAR, the laser pulses did far more than map the ground. They revealed a master plan for defense. The data painted a startling new picture. Encircling the known settlement was a massive, previously unknown ring fortification, a raised earthen wall designed to shield the town from assault. This was a Viking borg, a stronghold, but the defensive vision did not stop at the town's edge. The LiDAR clearly showed a network of carefully positioned beacon mounds erected on high points across the island. These were not natural hills, they were signal stations, part of an early warning system. If a hostile fleet was spotted entering Lake Meleran, a chain of fires could be lit, relaying the alarm across the water in minutes, giving the town crucial time to prepare. This discovery fundamentally rewrites Birka's story. It was not an open, peaceful market, but a heavily fortified urban center in a constant state of readiness. The remote sensing provided the strategic context that 1,000 ground trenches could never see, showing how the Vikings didn't just occupy a landscape, they engineered it for control and survival. This elaborate system speaks directly to the volatile political reality of the Viking Age, an era of shifting alliances, rival chieftains, and fierce competition for lucrative trade routes. A wealthy port like Birka was a giant target, and its leaders invested enormous communal effort into building these earthworks, a testament to the ever-present threat of conflict. This insight adds a crucial, gritty layer to our understanding of Viking society, moving beyond the romance of exploration to the hard necessities of protecting a community's wealth and life. It shows a people who are brilliant logisticians and military planners, using the very shape of the land as a weapon and a shield. From this world of northern fortresses, we journey to a starkly different landscape, where another culture built not for war but for celestial harmony, creating vast urban structures that blended seamlessly into the desert itself. The straight line was a sacred geometry across the desert, while the monumental great houses of Choco Canyon have long inspired awe. their true power was not confined within those sandstone walls. For decades, archaeologists pondered the reach of this ancient Puebloan society, suspecting its influence spread across the harsh, beautiful expanse of the San Juan Basin. Yet the physical evidence for a connected world remained frustratingly fragmented, glimpsed in isolated outlier sites but never fully mapped. The story was missing its roads. Then airborne LiDAR swept across the landscape, and with the digital removal of sparse desert scrub, a hidden network emerged with stunning clarity. The scans revealed an intricate web of ancient linear features, roads engineered with a purpose that feels both practical and profound. These are not wandering trails, but remarkably straight avenues, some over 30 feet wide, running for dozens of miles across mesas and valleys. They connect the monumental core of Choco Canyon to hundreds of outlier communities, sometimes in direct, unwavering lines that disregard the easiest terrain. The engineering is deliberate, featuring carved stairways ascending cliff faces and subtle ramps built to maintain a level course. From the ground, these features often vanish into the brush, but from above, they form a stark, purposeful pattern, like spokes radiating from a hub or threads in a vast cultural tapestry. This is the revelation. Choco was not an isolated ceremonial destination, but the beating heart of a widespread, integrated regional system. The outliers were not independent villages, but connected nodes in a network of shared ritual, trade, and social identity. The roads likely facilitated the movement of people, not for everyday travel, but for periodic pilgrimages, bringing communities together for ceremonies, to exchange goods like turquoise, pottery, and timber, and to reaffirm a collective belief system. The sheer investment in building and maintaining this infrastructure across such a challenging environment speaks to a powerful, unifying ideology. It suggests a level of social cohesion and shared purpose that allowed diverse communities across a vast arid landscape to coordinate and participate in something greater than themselves. Remote sensing has thus transformed our understanding completely, turning Choco from a spectacular ruin into the central place of a cultural phenomenon. It reveals a society that expressed its connection to the land and to each other not just through towering architecture, but through lines etched directly into the earth itself, a physical manifestation of relationship and obligation. This pattern of a ritual landscape, where geography is woven into cosmology, finds a compelling parallel far across the ocean, in a world of islands where navigation was itself a sacred art. Stone rises directly from the sea, a city born from coral and basalt. On the remote island of Pohnpei, the ruins of Nan Madol are visible, a labyrinth of silent islets and still canals that have earned it the name Venice of the Pacific. For generations, visitors could wander its waterways, marveling at the sheer weight of its megalithic architecture, yet the true genius of its design remained as murky as the water lapping at its walls. The city's full complexity was a puzzle seen only in fragments, until modern eyes looked down from above. Drone mapping and high-resolution satellite imagery have now performed a precise digital survey of the entire site, charting every canal, seawall, and islet with forensic clarity. This remote data reveals a spatial organization of breathtaking sophistication. The 92 artificial islets are not randomly placed. They are grouped into distinct districts, each with a specialized purpose, from ceremonial spaces and elite residences to areas for food preparation and canoe building. The meticulously mapped canal network shows an intimate understanding of local tides, engineered to allow for flushing and navigation, transforming a shallow reef into a functioning, tidal-based transportation grid. This is the revelation. Nan Madol was not a haphazard collection of platforms, but a fully planned hydraulic city, a deliberate assertion of power over both land and sea. The scale of labor implied by this data is staggering. The basalt logs used to build the islets, some weighing many tons, were quarried on the opposite side of the island and transported across the water, a logistical feat that would have required the coordinated effort of an entire society for generations. The remote sensing maps allow archaeologists to move beyond awe and ask practical questions. By analyzing the spatial relationships and the sheer volume of moved material, they can theorize about the social hierarchy and labor organization that made it possible, a command structure capable of marshalling a vast workforce in total isolation from any mainland influence. Nan Madol stands as a supreme testament to islander ingenuity, a unique form of urbanism that contrasts sharply with the sprawling, land-based empires. It is a ceremonial and political capital built not by conquering a continent, but by summoning a city from the ocean itself, an act of will that turned a lagoon into a stage for divine kingship. Its later abandonment, long before European contact, adds a profound layer of mystery. What internal pressures or environmental shifts could cause a society to walk away from such a monumental investment of spirit and sweat? This isolated marvel makes you wonder, if such complexity could arise in the middle of the world's largest ocean, what other island civilizations built their own unique urban dreams, now waiting to be seen from the sky? The timeline of civilization in the Americas was rewritten by a city without walls. In the arid Soup Valley of Peru, the sacred city of Caral rises from the desert, a complex of pyramids and plazas that dates back over 5,000 years. This is the oldest known city in the Americas, a cradle of urban life that flourished centuries before the pyramids of Giza were built. While its core has been carefully excavated, the true scope of its influence was a mystery confined to the valley floor. To understand Caral, we had to see its entire world. Aerial photography and geophysical surveys have now mapped the sacred city's extensive domain, revealing a landscape meticulously organized for both ceremony and survival. From above, the central planning is unmistakable. The city's layout is a deliberate arrangement of monumental temple mounds, sunken circular plazas for public gathering, and distinct residential sectors for different social classes. This was not a haphazard growth but a conscious design, a blueprint for a complex society. The remote surveys extended far beyond the city's heart, identifying a network of outlying settlements and, most critically, the ancient irrigation channels that snaked through the valley. These lifelines, captured in the geophysical data, were the foundation of everything. They transformed the desert floor into fertile fields for crops like cotton and squash, providing the agricultural surplus that allowed a large population to settle permanently, to specialize in crafts, and to engage in monumental construction. This holistic view from technology positions Caral not as a miraculous anomaly, but as the brilliant apex of a developed cultural tradition that had been evolving in the region for centuries. It forces a profound reconsideration, proving that civilization in the Americas arose independently and contemporaneously with those in Mesopotamia and Egypt. Caral's story is one of early success, a society that mastered its environment through cooperation and planning, thriving for 1,000 years. This enduring stability makes the sudden, complete silence that followed in other parts of the world even more compelling. Why would a successful urban experiment, after such a long run, simply stop? The silence of Ganwariwala is a different kind of mystery. In the vast, sun-scorched expanse of Pakistan's Kholistan Desert, this immense city sits almost completely untouched by the archaeologist's trowel. From the ground, it appears as a series of low, weathered mounds rising from the dry earth, giving little hint of the metropolis beneath. Yet from orbit, its secrets begin to whisper. Satellite radar, which can penetrate the dry surface, and thermal imagery, which detects subtle temperature differences between buried brick and surrounding soil, have together sketched the ghost of a great city. The data reveals a classic Indus Valley signature, a meticulously ordered grid of streets dividing the urban space into neat blocks. It shows the outlines of large, subdivided platforms, the likely foundations of major public buildings like granaries or administrative citadels, similar to those found at its famous sisters, Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa. Remote sensing confirms what size alone suggested. Ganwariwala was not a provincial town, but one of the 5 giant pillars of the entire Indus civilization, a peer to the greatest cities of its age. This confirmation makes its present setting all the more jarring. Today, Ganwariwala exists in a landscape of extreme aridity, a place where life is a constant struggle against the desert. But the city's very existence, its scale and sophisticated planning, tells us it was not always so. This was a metropolis built for a thriving, populous environment. Its location speaks to a time when the now-vanished Gaga-Hakra river system flowed through the region, providing the lifeblood for agriculture and trade. The city's precise grid, its advanced drainage systems inferred from the mound structures, all point to a society in harmony with a more generous climate. The profound question raised by the satellite maps is not just what happened here, but what happened everywhere. The remote data from Ganwariwala becomes a crucial piece in the civilization's ultimate puzzle. Its abandonment, mirrored across the Indus world, points to a systemic challenge. Researchers studying the imagery look for clues not of invasion or conflict, but of a slower, more insidious change, a gradual shifting of rivers, a decline in reliable rainfall, or a slow salinization of the soil from intensive irrigation. These environmental pressures could have strained the delicate balance that allowed such planned cities to flourish, potentially leading to a gradual dispersal of populations to more sustainable areas. This is where remote sensing proves its value beyond mere discovery. At Ganwariwala, the technology allows for a form of perfect preservation. Instead of exposing the fragile, sun-dried bricks to immediate erosion, scientists can map the entire urban layout, analyze its structure, and model its relationship to the ancient hydrological network, all without disturbing a single grain of sand. This non-invasive approach gathers critical data while leaving the site intact for future generations and more advanced technologies. The focus shifts from excavating artifacts to understanding the city's relationship with its world, and by extension, the civilization's dialogue with a changing planet. Ganwariwala's silent, mapped streets offer a powerful case study in resilience and vulnerability. They remind us that the most expertly planned human systems are still in conversation with the natural world, a theme that connects this desert giant to jungles, coastlines, and islands across the globe. Its story suggests that sometimes the end of a city is not a dramatic fall, but a quiet, strategic retreat, a community making the difficult choice to leave a masterpiece behind. The final moments of a city can be frozen in the earth itself. On a lonely bluff overlooking the Euphrates River in Syria, the ruins of Dura-Europos stand as a unique time capsule. For decades, this Greco-Roman frontier city was celebrated for its astonishingly preserved synagogue and one of the world's earliest Christian house churches, offering a priceless glimpse into ancient religious life. While traditional excavations mapped its streets and buildings, a much darker chapter of its history remained only partially understood until we looked back through the eyes of the Cold War. Declassified spy satellite photographs from the Corona program, taken in the 1960s, have revealed something extraordinary. These high-resolution images, captured before modern agricultural expansion altered the landscape, show the stark, geometric scars of ancient warfare etched into the desert floor with chilling clarity. The photos reveal the full, sprawling scale of the Roman assault ramps, massive earthen causeways built to bring siege towers and battering rams right up to the city walls. Even more dramatic are the faint, zigzagging lines of the Sasanian Persian countermines, tunnels dug to intercept and collapse the Roman excavations. This remote-sensed evidence is not just a map, it is a real-time strategic diagram of the city's final, desperate battle in 256 AD. We are seeing the last moves in a deadly game of urban siege, a precise military snapshot of attack and defense. This perspective allows historians to analyze the siege with new tactical understanding, identifying where the walls were weakest, how the attackers concentrated their forces, and how the defenders tried to thwart them. It provides unprecedented insight into the brutal, calculated engineering of ancient urban warfare. The discovery underscores a powerful truth about remote sensing. Even data gathered for a completely different purpose decades ago can become a revolutionary tool for archaeology. These spy satellite images, intended to monitor the modern world, inadvertently preserved a perfect record of the ancient one. They offer a poignant and starkly different kind of preservation. Unlike cities lost to slow silting or gentle abandonment, Dura-Europos presents a moment of catastrophic, concentrated conflict. The imagery freezes the instant of its violent end, a stark reminder of the human cost borne by frontier cities caught between empires. This view from a past generation satellites compels us to look forward, to wonder what other forgotten battlefields and besieged cities might be revealed by the orbital archives we are creating today. These cliffside palaces were the final act of a centuries-long story. High on the mesa tops of what is now Colorado, the ancestral Puebloan people built a world of astonishing ingenuity, one that extended far beyond the iconic stone cities tucked into canyon alcoves. For over a century, our gaze has been drawn to the dramatic cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde, like the magnificent Cliff Palace, seeing them as isolated, almost defensive final refuges. That perspective was a profound misunderstanding of scale. When researchers finally swept the entire region with airborne LiDAR, the laser technology did something remarkable. It digitally stripped away the dense pinyon and juniper forest that blankets the mesa. What emerged was a complete cultural landscape, a hidden map of daily life. The data revealed not just a few more ruins, but thousands of previously unknown small stone structures, field houses, and storage cists scattered across the high plateau. These were not random piles of rock, they were the markers of a vast, dispersed settlement system. The cliff dwellings were not isolated fortresses, but integrated components within a much larger, seasonal pattern of movement. For most of the year, families lived in smaller, looser communities on the mesa top, tending to their crops in terraced gardens and checking on intricate systems of check dams and reservoirs that captured every precious drop of rainwater. These water control features, visible only as subtle undulations from the ground, are mapped with perfect clarity by LiDAR, showing a masterful understanding of hydrology in an arid land. When the deep cold of winter set in, or perhaps during times of social tension, communities would consolidate into the larger, sheltered cliff dwellings below the mesa rim. These south-facing alcoves provided passive solar heat and protection from the elements. This was not a desperate retreat, but a smart, cyclical adaptation, a flexible urban model without a single dense core. The comprehensive view from above helps answer the great question of sustainability. It shows how a significant population could thrive for centuries by moving with the seasons and intensively managing a marginal environment. Every terrace, every small dam, every reservoir was part of a collective investment in the land. This intricate relationship with place makes their eventual decision to migrate away from the region by the end of the 13th century all the more complex and poignant. The remote sensing data informs theories that point not to a single catastrophic cause, but to a confluence of challenges, including prolonged drought that may have strained even their brilliant water systems, alongside broader social changes. Their legacy is one of profound adaptation, a demonstration that urban life can take the form of a rhythmic dance across a landscape, a model of resilience written not in grand plazas, but in thousands of small stone footprints and the gentle contours of forgotten gardens. Sometimes the greatest discoveries are not in distant jungles but under familiar fields. Our final metropolis brings us to the gentle, rolling landscape of the Welsh marches, where a quiet mystery persisted for centuries. Historical documents spoke of a powerful medieval town named Trellech, a major 13th century settlement famed for its iron production and possibly the largest urban center in all of Wales at its peak. Yet after its decline, the physical city seemed to have vanished from the earth, its precise location debated by scholars and its grandeur reduced to a footnote. The story of its rediscovery is a testament not just to technology but to passionate curiosity. A team of dedicated researchers, including amateur archaeologists, took up the search. They began with systematic field walking, scanning plowed earth for pottery shards and other surface finds that hinted at buried activity. This traditional method pointed them to a promising area, but to see beneath the soil, they needed new eyes. They employed ground-penetrating radar, a cart-mounted system that sends radio waves into the ground to map differences in soil composition. The resulting data painted a ghostly blueprint of a lost world. The radar images revealed the clear, straight outlines of medieval streets, defining a regular grid of urban plots. It showed the distinct rectangular foundations of stone buildings, including one large structure interpreted as a possible manor house, the administrative heart of the town. This was not a scattered village, but a planned, dense urban settlement. Further surveys, including LiDAR scans of the surrounding terrain, added rich detail to this resurrected map. They documented evidence of intense industrial activity, with features suggesting iron smelting and forging, confirming the historical records of Trellech's economic engine. The scans also revealed a sophisticated complex of managed fish ponds, part of an integrated system for food production that supported a large, non-agrarian population. This combination of tools proved conclusively that the lost city of Trellech was real, and that it was every bit as significant as the old texts claimed. The implications of this find are profound on two levels. First, it challenges the assumption that Europe's historical landscape is fully known. Here, in a region meticulously studied for generations, a major urban center had been literally buried by time, waiting to be seen. Second, and perhaps more inspiring, is how it was found. This discovery was driven not by a large institutional dig, but by a collaborative effort leveraging increasingly accessible technology. It represents a democratization of discovery, where dedicated individuals can now test hypotheses and rewrite local histories that have global resonance. The story of Trellech brings our journey full circle. It reminds us that lost cities are not only relics of exotic, ancient empires, but can be the forgotten chapters of our own more recent past. Each of these 20 metropolises, from the Amazonian garden cities to this Welsh medieval hub, reveals a fragment of the human story written in earth, stone, and landscape. They show us the incredible diversity of urban life, the recurring patterns of ingenuity and adaptation, and the fragile threads that connect a society to its environment. As remote sensing technology continues to evolve, becoming more powerful and more available, one truth becomes clear: we have only just begun to listen to the whispers of the past. The next lost city is not waiting at the end of a perilous expedition, but perhaps in the next set of data, the next scan of a familiar hillside, ready to challenge what we thought we knew and inspire us to look at our world with wonder once again. These vanished cities speak a common language across the centuries, a shared set of blueprints for survival and ambition. The most profound thread weaving through every story is a masterful dialogue with water. Whether in the Cambodian highlands or the Indian salt flats, these societies did not just find water, they engineered it. The canals of Mahendraparvata, the vast cisterns of Petra, and the intricate plumbing of Dholavira are not mere amenities, they are the foundational architecture of civilization itself. They reveal that ancient urbanism was at its core a form of applied environmental science, a deep integration of human need with the hydrological cycle. These cities were built by the world's first landscape architects who understood that to create a lasting community, you must first command the flow of life itself. This mastery of environment was matched by a relentless drive for connection. Very few of these metropolises were ever truly alone. They thrived as vital nodes in sprawling, living networks. Merv pulsed with the energy of the Silk Road, a synapse in the brain of global trade. The Chaconne roads were physical lines of ritual and relationship, binding a scattered region into a cohesive cultural sphere. The Maya causeways and the Indus Valley's standardized city plans all point to a universal human impulse to link, to exchange, and to belong to something larger than a single settlement. Their greatness was measured not just by their walls, but by the reach of their influence, the threads they spun across continents and seas. With every digital map, these connections have forced a humbling revision of history. Time and again, remote sensing has revealed that our ancestors were more numerous, more organized, and more innovative than we ever credited. The low population estimates for the Maya, the view of the Amazon as pristine wilderness, the image of Cahokia as an isolated ceremonial center, all have been swept away by data. We are learning that complexity flourished in places and at scales we never imagined, compelling us to replace simple stories of isolated golden ages with a richer, more interconnected tapestry of human achievement. Yet within these stories of triumph lies a consistent, sobering refrain, the theme of fragility. The fates of these places, whether through a shifting climate, the slow silting of a river, the collapse of a trade route, or the overextension of a resource, speak directly to the enduring challenge of sustainability. They achieved remarkable resilience, some for over 1,000 years, but they also existed in a delicate balance. Their ends were rarely sudden cataclysms, but often the result of multiple pressures converging, a lesson in how even the most brilliant systems must adapt or face transformation. These common threads, water, connection, underestimated scale, and ultimate vulnerability, are not just archaeological footnotes. They are the core challenges of the human experiment in building community. They transcend ancient stone and speak directly to our modern world. As we manage our own water resources, navigate global networks, plan for growing populations, and seek sustainable ways of living, we are engaging in the same fundamental dialogue as the builders of Carroll, Great Zimbabwe, and Anchor. The silent maps of these lost cities are more than historical records. They are a library of case studies in ingenuity and adaptation, offering timeless insights for anyone who wonders what it takes to build a place meant to last and what we might learn from those who came before us. This journey across continents and centuries reveals a powerful truth about our shared human story. We have stood on the digital shoulders of giants, using lasers and radar as a new kind of time machine to witness the rise and transformation of 20 magnificent urban worlds. From the bustling Maya causeways hidden beneath the Guatemalan canopy to the silent, sunken temples of Heracleion, each discovery has been a testament to a universal human drive to build, to connect, and to create meaning in stone, earth, and water. These are not just lost cities, they are conversations across millennia, teaching us about resilience in the face of environmental change, about the brilliance of sustainable design long before the word was coined, and about the fragile threads of trade and belief that can bind a civilization together. The remote sensing revolution has handed us a new lens, and through it, we see that history is far more crowded, interconnected, and ingenious than we ever dared to believe. The empty spaces on our historical maps are filling with ghostly outlines of streets and temples, compelling a beautiful rewrite of our past. This is only the beginning. As this technology becomes more accessible, reaching the hands of researchers and communities around the globe, we stand on the brink of countless more revelations. Who can say what other urban giants await discovery beneath the familiar forests, the shifting sands, or the deep blue waves? The past is not a closed book, it is an open landscape, waiting for the right light to reveal its secrets. If this exploration has changed how you see the ancient world, let us know in the comments which rediscovered metropolis amazed you the most, and subscribe to join us as we continue to uncover history's greatest mysteries, one hidden city at a time.